Hey book girlies, I'm Sarah.
Hey gamer guys, it's Ian.
And you're listening to a pot of sass and sarcasm.
Woo.
You can sound a little more excited than that.
Yippee.
Oh my gosh. So, how have you been? Have you been playing any games? Is there anything you want to talk about?
I have been playing some games.
What have you been playing?
I played a few more runs of Drop Duchy.
You know, I can't remember if it was this book or the other books that I've been reading lately, but they mentioned duchies. And I was like, I'm so glad Ian's been playing Drop Duchy because I would have otherwise been so fucking confused. I'd be like, what the hell is a duchy? It's a dukedom. I think it was my other book, so I don't think they mentioned duchies in this one yet. But thank you for playing this game. So anything more that you want to tell us about Drop Duchy?
Sure. I'm getting to the point of the game where it's becoming difficult to progress and unlock more things. Just because I've completed all the easy challenges, and what's left are increasingly more difficult challenges, which is required to unlock new things. For example, I need to complete 2 more challenges to unlock the next empire or civilization.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the last one, the third one. I finished all the challenges for the second one, and now every time I start a run, I start off with a pretty good set of cards. I know that doesn't make any sense to you, but the more challenges you complete, the easier your runs become, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say that I do get why we've started calling them runs and everything like that, but when you phrase it that way of the more challenges you do, the easier your runs become, I still think of like runs as in the runs, as in like when you have to shit real bad. So like you're like, it makes the runs more, I'm like, wow, yeah, it just slides right out then.
Yeah, this one, you're prepared with like some Vaseline or something.
Get out. Sorry. Okay, so it makes your runs easier the more that you run. The more you shit, the easier your shits become.
Yeah, the more challenging your shits.
Gross. All right.
On this last run, I actually found it quite interesting. I've developed a couple of tactics on this one because the second empire is the one that wants to change everything over to being city tiles. And your power is tied to your city tiles and the population. And so I actually didn't need a lot of other buildings to get enough power to beat the run.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that you don't want very many buildings when you're going to complete the runs is because some of the bosses along the way restrict where you can place your tiles. And if you place your tiles incorrectly, the boss gets harder, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Shut up. I didn't start smiling. Shut up. I'm not 12. I don't have the sense of humor of a middle school boy. It's fine. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then I was able to play with the faith system a little bit more. And one of the things you get from having a large amount of faith, or you play with the faith cards, is you can convert some of your enemies into your units. So you don't have to worry very much about being strong enough throughout the run because you can just steal some of their power.
Oh, interesting. Well, we have a few updates.
Yeah.
Before we get into things. All of them are related to each other in that the main update is that this week has been amazing and I am so happy right now. Literally, this is probably one of the best weeks of my life because number one, we've had a chance to record with some of the special guests that we mentioned last time, and I'm so excited about it. It went really well, or at least I think it went really well. I didn't explode yet. I don't know. It might happen still. I am so far unexploded. I didn't embarrass myself, or at least no more than I usually do. We got to interview a real live author, and not just any author, one of my favorite authors. So we got to write with them, And that was really cool to just see what like raw writing talent looks like in the flesh, in the draft. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt so weird because I was like, I don't want to just like be complimenting every single thing, but I'm like, oh my God, it was so good. And I was having a really great time with it. So that was amazing. And then the next amazing thing that happened this week is that we got to go rock climbing outdoors, because I don't know how many of our listeners actually know this other than the ones that know us, but like, I'm really into rock climbing. It's like my other hobby besides reading. And last year I sustained a pretty bad foot injury, and so I couldn't climb much indoors or outdoors. And let me just say, like, climbing in the gym is great, but it's not climbing outdoors. I love climbing outdoors. And so this year I was determined to climb outdoors, but then we got so fucking busy and I was like, I'm never going to get this chance again. I've climbed outdoors like 3 times in my life, and it kind of like, I want to do it more. And then this year we finally got to go, and it was so much fun. And we got to bring somebody new into the fold and like kind of show them what it's like to climb outdoors. And that was super fun. And Ian even climbed, and Ian doesn't even like climbing. He doesn't like heights, but he climbed and he showed us all up because he was wearing not even climbing shoes, and he was just like, I could probably do this in my flip-flops, but I'm not going to embarrass all of y'all. And I'm like, fuck you. But it was so much fun, and I'm really glad that we got to go climbing. And then if you're wondering why Ian's and my voices sound a little bit weird, I don't think that my voice sounds that different, but Ian said that it sounds like it's like on the cusp of like laryngitis.
It's a little bit better from this morning.
Yeah, this morning it sounded kind of bad. I could kind of hear it, but I don't think it sounds that different from what it normally sounds like. But anyways, we might sound a little bit hoarse today. It's the afternoon. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. We might sound a little bit hoarse right now because last night we spent 2 hours screaming at the top of my lungs. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I was screaming at the top of my lungs all of these Ghost songs because we got to go see Ghost in concert. And it was so much fun. They were so funny. They were so good. I was like, the sets were really cool. The pyrotechnics, everything. And they were really cheeky. They're like, we're going to play a few of our bops, and then we're going to end on Monstrance Clock, and everyone have a good night. Bye. And I was like, absolutely fucking not. There is no fucking way that I paid as much money as I did to see you guys, and you don't play Mariana Cross. You don't play Square Hammer. Excuse the fuck out of me. And then they came back on stage and they're like, we were kidding. Did you guys really think that we left? And I'm like, oh my God, you bastards. You better fucking play something good. And then they did. They played Mariana Cross and then Dance Macabre and then Square Hammer. And I thought I was going to die. And I was like screeching by the end of it. It was so much fun though. I had so much fun. And I'm really, 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 really glad that we got to go see them. So it was great. Also, this is like probably more of a reasonable update like for the pod. One thing that we learned yesterday while going rock climbing, we were in the car driving to the rock climbing location.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what this revelation is.
Oh, you already know. We talked about it a lot in the car. It's something that I learned about myself. And that something is that I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to say any letters. I don't know. I've already noticed that just from being on the pod that I have a hard time saying my R's. Like I will say a horror story and I have to like really think about the R's in those 2 words and stuff like that. But we found out in the car yesterday.
Can't say Elsbeth's.
Yeah, I can't say the letter S at the end of words. I can say it at the beginning of words just fine. But when it comes at the end of the words, specifically at the end of
Elsbeth's cards.
Or Elspeth's uncle, I really fucking struggle with it because the amount of times we were listening to one of the newer episodes and I'm just like sitting there and I say an Elspeth uncle and I'm like, Elspeth's. And we spent, I swear it was like 10 minutes just going, I can't do it. It just doesn't happen. So I apologize. And it wasn't just with Elspeth, because I also was trying to say Providence cards, plural, but it kept coming out as Providence card, like one. Like I'm saying, I'm like, I mean all of them. So I'm really, really sorry because I know when I listen to podcasts, I do sometimes get annoyed with the way that people talk and the way that they like don't say things correctly. I am sorry. I am working on my R's and my S's, but I do have to think really hard about those. And on top of that, I am trying to read when I clearly can't. So thank you all for your patience.
We appreciate you.
Yes, we really do. And then speaking of appreciating your patience, I also want to apologize because I haven't actually picked this book up in a few weeks until this morning because we went on vacation a little while ago and I was really worried during that vacation that I was going to finish this book and we wouldn't have had any way to record and I wasn't going to be able to wait to tell you about stuff. And so then I was going to ruin all of it and tell you everything and then there would be no point in recording this season. And I was like, I can't do that. So then I distracted myself with some other books, but then I got so distracted by those books that even when we came back from the vacation, I was still reading those other books. And then I was like, I need to get back into this one. And then I started confusing them and I was like, oh my God, what if I have to start this book over? And then I am going to have to make people wait and all that other kind of stuff. So far, I think I understand what's going on in this book still. And again, the saving grace is the fact that I'm editing the episodes. So like I remind myself some of the stuff, but I'm very frustrated because now I feel like I've changed my opinions about stuff. Like, I was like really hating on Elspeth a lot. And now I'm like, I don't know if I actually hate her as much as I seem to in the last 2 episodes. And if I was just like in a bad mood or something like that. So I might go back and reread it for myself to see if I still have those feelings. And I'll let you guys know what the verdict is, but I'm not going to make you sit through me rereading some of the stuff. But I do want to thank you for your patience because some of this might feel a little discombobulated because I might be over explaining things because I'm trying to remember it because it's been like 3 weeks for myself. So again, thank you guys. You guys are great and we love you so much. But now we should get into the book if you're okay with it.
Yeah, let's hear what you've been up to today.
All right, so quick recap. We are continuing One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. The kingdom of Blunder has been plagued by a mysterious mist that infects people with magic when they touch it without the protection of a charm. Elspeth Spindle was one such unlucky victim of this illness and now has the nightmare living in her head. She's kept her magic a secret for 11 years, though I don't know how, given how careless she's been in the last few chapters.
She just keeps using it in front of people.
She uses it in front of people. She tells people stuff that clearly she learned from using her magic. And then like they're like, well, how did you know that? And she's like, oh, never mind. And like changes the subject. I'm like, really, girl? Really? But okay, anyways. So even though she's been very careless in the last few chapters, she has been able to keep her magic a secret for 11 years. And she's basically lulling her family into a false sense of security as she basically has told them that she's been sick or she had gotten sick, but that there isn't any sign of magic or this degeneration that a lot of infected people show. So she's been keeping it on the down low. But because of her infection and because of the nightmare's own feelings towards the royal family, Elspeth hates the king's special guards called destriers or death stringers if you're Ian. And she's especially afraid of the king's physicians. It's unclear exactly what the physicians did with the infected children, but anyone caught with magic not associated with the Providence cards would be taken and studied and tortured and presumably executed. The royal Ravyn family is known for being especially heinous brutes who are ruthless in their search for these cards. There is a prophecy of sorts in the Old Book of Alders that explains that collecting 12 unique Providence cards on the autumnal equinox and bringing them back to the forest will destroy the mist and save the kingdom from its inevitable downfall. As with every harvest, the royal family invited all of Blunder's families to celebrate the equinox at their castle, and here Elspeth met the Yu brothers in an unfavorable manner and learned of her uncle's plot to trade the Nightmare Providence card to the king in order to arrange an acquaintance between Ione, Elspeth's cousin, and Hoth Rowan. Going back to me not being able to say my S's is because of what I just said right there. I am worried that it's coming out Elsbeths, not Elsbeths.
You just have to get over it.
Do you think people would rather hear Elsbeths than Elsbeths or Elsbeth?
I'll just say Elvis. This is actually a story about the king.
Okay, get out. I'll just tell the people and not you about these books. All right, so at Equinox, Elspeth met the Yu brothers in an unfavorable manner and learned that her uncle has this plot to trade his Nightmare Providence card to the king in order to arrange an acquaintance between Ione, Elspeth's cousin, and Hoth Rowan, the High Prince of Blunder. In the midst of it all, Ione was given a maiden card, causing further tension between her and her cousin, and when Ravyn Yu caught up with Elspeth, he used his nightmare card on her and learned that she has magic. When she said she'd rather have him kill her than be taken to the dungeons, Ravyn promised her that he wouldn't hurt her and that he was merely interested in her gift. And thus, she was somehow willingly following the captain of the Destriers into the king's castle last time we chatted. So Ravyn leads her through a series of corridors, and of course Elspeth and the Nightmare are very wary of a potential trap. But Ravyn keeps assuring her that he does not want to hurt her. At one point, they pass the stairwell to the dungeons, and Elspeth hesitates for a second, glancing down the spiral staircase, potentially out of morbid curiosity, just being like, yikes, I know what that is. I know it's down there. And Ravyn is very serious and sort of looks at her with, I guess, almost pity, and is like, I promise I will never, ever take you down there. And that's super suspicious to me.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to take her down there at some point.
I think he might, and he's going to break that promise. But I think it would probably be in an unwitting situation. Like, he didn't mean to take her down there, and he's not taking her down there for the sake of doing what everybody else has been taken down there for. But I have a feeling that maybe the Twin Alders card is down there or something. And because Elspeth can see them, she might have to go with him to go find it or something. I don't know. But I have a feeling because of how much this scene kind of drew attention to that promise is going to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like some kind of foreshadowing, and it makes me nervous, and I don't like it because I don't want him to break his promises to her because, again, these two are in love. I mean, they're not yet, but they will be. My breath hitched as I entered the shadowy corridor, my eyes slow to adjust to the dark. This way, Ravyn said, closing the door and leading me down the twists and turns, a labyrinth of tall corridors and unmarked doors. We reached a stone stairway that descended into blackness. The Nightmare's voice pricked in my ears. In the cold and the dark, the stone does not age. The light cannot reach where the shadows doth rage. At the end of the stairs, by rope or by blade, they take sick children to burn in a cage. I shuddered. The king's dungeon and the rumors of what happened there had long since put their hooks in me. I glanced down the stairwell, the shadows long and twisted, reaching for me with cruel, gnarled fingers. I didn't realize I had stopped walking until Ravyn cleared his throat, a few paces ahead. He must have seen the terror in my face, because for a moment, the firmness around his eyes softened. He glanced down the stairwell. I'll never take you there, Miss Spindle. You have my word. With that, he turned, leaving me no choice but to follow. Anyway, so he takes her to a room, and then he's like, I'm going to be right back.
Be right back. Just wait here. I'll be right back.
Exactly.
I'm not setting up an ambush and getting guards. That's not what I'm doing.
That's absolutely not what I'm doing. And then, of course, he locks her in the room. So, she's like, great. But she's like, hey, at least it's not the dungeons. And the Nightmare's like, there's many different types of cages, Elspeth. Calm the fuck. This is absolutely just like the dungeons, so calm down.
You're still locked in a room.
This is still really bad. And eventually, Ravyn returns a little while later with his sister, Jesper, who is also a destrier, and one of the physicians named Philic. And Elspeth is immediately like, you fucking lied to me! And he's like, no, I fucking didn't. We just have a few questions for you. We're curious about your magic. You're not under arrest since you've done nothing wrong. We just have a few questions.
She's like, all right, Nightmare, we're killing some people.
Yeah, she's like, let's fucking go. And she's like, I don't believe anything that you're fucking saying right now. What the fuck is this? And he's like, I promise you, you don't have anything to worry about. We just have a couple of questions. And so she slowly eases into some, not quite trust with them, but is like, okay, I'll let you ask me a few questions. I'm not gonna answer them, but I'll let you ask. And they ask her stuff like, how long has she been infected? And what is it like? What kind of magic does she have? All of that kind of stuff. And the Nightmare, of course, is like, you need to lie as much as possible. Do not tell them anything. Do not tell them about me, because they keep saying they're interested in your magic. Your magic is my magic, so which means that they might come after me eventually. He's like, every man for themselves, Elspeth, get the fuck out,
I like kicking around in your head, but I don't like you that much.
Exactly. And so they're like, how have you hidden it? Who knows about it? All that kind of stuff. And she answers cautiously, not wanting to endanger anyone that she cares for. But before they get too far into this interview, there's a knock at the door. And it sounds like a super secret knock. It's like, knock, 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 knock. So it sounds like it's a very specific patterned way of doing it. And Ravyn goes to answer the door, and in walks Prince Renelm Rowan, the younger of the two Rowan princes. So he's not the one that Ione may potentially marry, but he's still got a very, very brutal reputation. Also, we're going to focus on his name for a second. His name is Renelm, but he goes by Elm for short. I don't know if you remember from the last episode, but Ravyn Yu, when he introduced himself to Elspeth, he basically shoved his brother down the stairs and then told Emery to go back into the dining hall. And he came up to Elspeth and he's like, I'm so sorry about my brother. My cousin Elm had told me that Emery was drinking. And I don't know how I didn't make the connection, because she had already said that the Yu brothers were cousins to the princes. Like that had already been established.
Yeah, but we're going... Yes, but we're going by, like, last names or, like, trees. We're like, oh, it just is another family. Why would we think that the Hawthorne or whatever family... What are the royals' last name again?
Rowan.
Why would we think that the Rowans had someone going by a different tree?
That's true. The fact that his name is Elm, you might have thought, like, my cousin on the Elm side of the family or something like that. I assumed it was their first name, and I'm like, wow, that sucks having two tree names as your name, but whatever. I'm not in this world. So I don't know why it came as a surprise to me that he meant that the prince had said that Emery was drinking, but it did. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. This is crazy. When Elm walks into the room, immediately Elspeth notices that he has one of the 4 scythe cards, which allows its user to basically control other people. So here's a little bit about that. The red card. There were only 4 of them in the entire kingdom, and the Rowans had always claimed them all. With it, they had the ultimate power of persuasion. 3 taps of the scythe, and you would do whatever a Rowan asked of you. If Elm asked me to hop on one leg off a cliff, I would gladly do so. Not because the scythe made my legs move, but because it made me want to jump. I glared at the red light beaming from Elm's pocket, unsure if it was the nightmare's animosity boiling in me or my own. Elm was taller and narrower than Ravyn. When I stood, I had to lift my chin to look him in the face. Pleased to meet you, sire, I said through clenched teeth. I'm Elspeth Spindle. A coy smile danced along the edges of Elm's lips. Spindle, is it? He said. Not Jane Yarrow? I glanced at Ravyn, my stomach dropping, but the captain's eyes were suddenly fixed on his boots, a hint of color along his neck and jaw. I took a step back. The memory of the second highwayman, of fingers pulling tightly on my hood, the hostile notes of his voice closing tightly around me. My rage swelled, trapped in a room with strange men who had done their best to hurt me not 3 weeks ago. I slammed back down into my chair and folded my arms over my chest. If I had more grit, I might have spat at the prince's feet. Quite the family you have, I said to Ravyn, shooting daggers. One assault from the 2 of you was enough. Tell the prince to take his scythe and go, or I won't breathe another word. So I need to back up a bit.
She's like, I'm telling you about my magic. I can see that he has the scythe card.
Well, this is why I need to back up a little bit. So back when Ravyn was trying to convince her to come with him, so basically in that conversation we were talking about last week, he was like, I promise I'm not taking you to the dungeons. I have no interest in arresting you. I just want to talk to you, but I'm not going to do it in an open field because I don't know who the fuck is listening. And she's like, fine, but let's not go back to the gardens with all those Providence cards. And he like let that slide for a moment, and then he like halted for a second. He's like, wait, how do you know that there's Providence cards in the garden? So yet again, Elspeth is an idiot and is like, first she tells Ione that she knows that she has a maiden card, and now she's being like, oh, I see all these Providence cards in the book, and I'm like, you fucking idiot. But this is why I'm like, I don't know if I hate Elspeth as much anymore, because at least here in this little scene, she also was like, I was so stupid for like letting that slip. However, how did I let that slip? So at least she's like acknowledging that she's like, that was like, why did I say that kind of thing? And so when she was going through the interrogation before Elm walked into the room, the nightmare was like, lie as best you can, but since they already kind of know that you can see Providence cards, or like they're kind of poking at that, just tell them that that's what your power is.
Okay, so it was a decided conceit.
Yes. She's like, okay, my magic is that I can see them. And they're like, interesting, how can you see them? And she's like, they just appear as a light. And so I know when somebody has one and stuff like that. And I know which one it is because the light glows the specific color of the velvet trim. And they're like, fascinating. And so then Elm walks in and has it in his pocket, and she's like, there, he's got a scythe in his pocket and whatever. And eventually she's like, tell the prince, to take his scythe and go, or I won't breathe another word. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna get everybody out of this room because you're clearly real stressed, and it's just gonna be you and me, and we're gonna play a little game. I want you to tell me what cards I have. So they're alone in a room, and he eventually blindfolds her, which I'm not going to lie, that's kind of hot. Because there've already been a lot of moments with the two of them where they're kind of forced into somewhat intimate positions. Like they were in some narrow hallways and she was noticing how close they were. And then she's like staring at his back and she's like, it's real hot. And then there was the moment in the field when he like knocked her over and he had his hand over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was real hot. So like the two of them are clearly going to be in love, but I'm getting very scared that this is like, we're led to believe they're going to be in love. And then there's going to be a sharp left turn and they're gonna like hate each other. I don't want them to be enemies to enemies. I want them to be enemies to lovers, but okay. So then he's like, I'm gonna be alone in a room with you. Scandalous already. I'm gonna put a blindfold on you. Loud alive. I thought I was gonna lose my shit. Anyways, so he pulls out some cards from his pocket and she explains that even through the blindfold, she can see the colors and therefore the cards' identities. And then at the end of this, Ravyn pulls out a card and she can't see a color. And so she explains this, and he's like, no, I pulled out a card. And she's like, well, it doesn't have magic, whatever the fuck it is, because I don't see anything. And she pulls off her blindfold, and he had laid down a Twin Alders card. And she's like, that's a fake.
I think you called it.
I think I did too.
Yeah. They're going to use her to find the other cards, or you're like, the one that everyone thinks is the real one is a fake.
Yeah. Ravyn took a seat beside me at the table, his face a mask of austerity. His hand went so quickly into his pocket, I didn't see it move. He slapped a white eagle card onto the table. I stared at the card, then back at Ravyn. What is this for? What do you see? He asked. What color? I crossed my arms. Didn't I prove that I could see the scythe card in your cousin's pocket a moment ago? Many people are aware Elm carries his scythe with him, Ravyn countered. A lucky guess, perhaps. I wouldn't consider anything that's happened today lucky, Captain. There it was again, the quirk at the corner of Ravyn's lips, the sliver of a smile. He cleared his throat and repeated, what color? White. He reached into his other pocket, withdrawing a black silk cloth. Tell me, Miss Spindle, can you see the colors with your eyes shut? My heartbeat quickened. Yes. Stop laughing, you're making me nervous.
It had to be silk.
Of course it's silk. It's black silk, Ian. It's so hot. It's not just because I'm like dying of heat stroke up here. Whew, okay. My heartbeat quickened. Yes. He wrapped the cloth around his knuckles. Would you object to a blindfold? I paused. Ravyn waited, his face unreadable as he watched me. When I nodded, he stood, silk in hand. I tapped my fingernails on the table, my eyelids fluttering to a close. Despite the way his rough fingers snagged the fabric, Ravyn's touch was soft. Which that's the second time in like the last like 2 chapters that they've mentioned that he has a gentle touch but rough hands. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like he's got calluses on his hands. Leave that alone. I don't find that hot, but all right. Anyway, apparently other people do. So like we're gonna move on. Anyways, okay. Ravyn's touch was soft. He tucked loose strands of my hair behind my ears. Then he wrapped the blindfold twice over my eyes before tying it in a true knot at the back of my head. I saw nothing, the fabric smooth and opaque. I heard Ravyn move back to his seat. Shall I continue? He asked. Ravyn snapped the next card onto the table and I understood its color. Black. Even in the darkness of my blindfold, the black was distinct. Black like my eyes. Black like magic. The black horse, I said. A moment later, the darkness of the black horse was gone. Another card hitting the table. Pink. Piercing rose blossom pink. I squirmed in my chair. The maiden, I said. I've seen a few of those floating around this equinox. Have you? I exhaled. Unfortunately. You sound disapproving. A twinge of pain hit my stomach. Ione's face sharp in my mind. It doesn't matter what I think. The captain's laugh rumbled in his chest. The pink hue of the maiden disappeared, replaced by a smooth turquoise. The chalice. He drew another. A sharp, misty gray light floated about the room. The prophet. Tell me, Miss Spindle, do you keep any cards yourself? I gnawed at my bottom lip. No. But you live with your uncle. Surely he possesses cards. I shifted in my seat. You seemed to think so when you ambushed me on the road. I couldn't tell if Ravyn Yu felt remorse. There was a practiced calmness about him, his tone never straying far beyond moderate interest. Still, he was quick to change the subject. How many people are aware of your infection? He asked. I bit my tongue and pulled the blindfold up over my eyes. Ravyn sat in his chair, watching me. I searched for hostility in his expression, but found nothing but cautious curiosity. How do I know you won't arrest them for harboring me? I asked. You don't, I suppose, he said. But, as you see, I haven't even arrested you, a maiden strongly infected with magic. To my silence, he tilted his head, bird-like. I'm merely trying to understand the extent of your situation. I ground my molars. Why? Why haven't you arrested me? Because you haven't done anything wrong. He paused. And because your ability is extremely useful.
Ah, there we go.
Haven't done anything wrong? I raised my brows. I've broken the law, grievously. But Ravyn merely shook his head. Not everyone sees it that way. Your uncle does, and that's all that matters. The captain of the destriers watched me, his gray eyes momentarily lowering to my mouth. I'd like to continue, Miss Spindle. He gestured to the blindfold resting on my forehead. If you don't mind. That's so hot. Anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say I got to stop saying I was going to say. I liked at one point when there's obviously like some kind of sexual tension, but I don't know if the author's definitely doing it on purpose, but I don't know if the characters are aware of it, because it was, I bit my bottom lip.
Yeah, I bit my bottom lip, and then he looked at my lips, and I'm like, oh, I'm living for it. I pulled the fabric back over my eyes with a lofty sigh. Golden light filled the room. The golden egg. When the sound of the next card hit wood, I blinked against the darkness of the blindfold, waiting. Go on then, I said. I already placed the card on the table, Ravyn replied smoothly. I see no card. You see no color? The nightmare stirred, his whisper tickling my ear. There is no card. He's playing a trick. There is no color, I said. There can't be a card. I assure you, there is. I ripped the blindfold from my face, a small gasp escaping my lips as I stared at the image of ancient trees bound together by forest green velvet, the twin alders card. The nightmare and I realized the truth at the same moment. A laugh rippled in my throat. There is no magic, I said. Just paper and velvet. It's a fake. Ravyn smiled, a shadow shifting along his striking nose. Are you sure? Positive, Captain. He leaned back in his chair, his gray eyes never leaving my face. It certainly appears you can see Providence cards, and that you've managed to hide your infection from physicians and destriers alike, despite being the daughter of one. He tilted his head again. Who else knows about your ability to see the cards? I tensed. No one. Ravyn raised his brows. Another lie, Miss Spindle? No. I leaned forward, searching his face. I swear it. My family merely thinks I caught the fever. Ravyn said nothing, testing my fortitude with his silence. His jaw was firm, as if fashioned of stone. The longer he was quiet, the angrier I became. Whatever his motives, I said to the nightmare, he's still a destrier. He's still a brute who hunts infected children and sends their families to the grave. One wrong move and he'll surely do the same to me. Then be indispensable, the nightmare purred. I stood so abruptly, my chair fell backward. The dogs in the corner yipped, and Ravyn's hand flew to his belt, his eyes alert. What's the matter? I know you want Providence cards, I said, the words rushing out of my mouth. I also know that you don't want the king to find out, otherwise you would not have bothered disguising yourself on the forest road. I steadied my voice. I'll help you find the cards, and you, in turn, will keep my secret. But I need something else. Ravyn crossed his arms over his chest, surveying me anew. The decision regarding how to handle your magic does not rest solely with me, I'm afraid. I stuck out my chin. Even reclined, calm in his seat, Ravyn, you frightened me. Taking my silence in stride, the captain asked, What precisely do you want, Miss Spindle? My fingers shook. I want you to leave my family alone. Do not punish them for hiding my infection. He nodded slowly. If that is your wish. And don't go back to my uncle's house, I added. He carries no card you have not already shown me today. I thought you didn't know anything about your uncle's cards. I blinked. I wasn't about to tell a man with a knife to my chest how to steal from my own family. Brave of you. Ravyn shifted in his chair. Anything else? He'll give anything to have your magic, the nightmare cooed. Ask for something extravagant. I love how, he's just, egging this on. That's so great.
He's like, ooh, he says, what, you want more? Like, now ask for the world. I want her to go, your hand in marriage or something. I need a political marriage, so we're in this together type of thing.
Ooh, I like that. That doesn't happen, but I like that. He'll give anything to have your magic, the nightmare cooed. Ask for something extravagant. Like a magical procedure to remove a parasite from my head? I kept my face neutral and my eyes on the captain of the destriers. One last thing. Yes? I put my hands on the table and leaned forward without breaking our gaze. You must swear, Captain, no matter the circumstance, you will never use that nightmare card on me again. That's so hot. Anyways,
Just staring at each other.
Yeah, leaning over.
You will not invade my mind again. Mm-hmm. Not that he would get anything out of it.
And she was like, that was kind of a risky thing to say because that tells him that there is something in her head she's trying to hide. And he knows that. But he's like, all right, we can work something out. So if you were keeping track in this scene, we saw the white eagle, the black horse, the maiden, the chalice, the prophet, and the golden egg. So that's 6 different Providence cards.
Don't forget about the nightmare card and the scythe card.
Well, I was just going to say, just in that scene with the interrogation, there were 6. Then we also know that Ravyn possesses a nightmare card, so that's 7. And if Elm is part of this ragtag team of people that are trying to gather the cards together to probably destroy the mist, I'm assuming that's what all of this is about, we have 8 unique cards, and we need 4 more, one of which has been lost to time.
The king has it somewhere.
This is, again, obviously Ravyn and his team are trying to collect the 12 cards and destroy the mist. But if you remember from the poem or whatever, the line in the old Book of Alders about the person who brings the cards to the woods needs to have black veins, someone with magic. Also, I keep thinking back to that scene with Emery Yu, and I am very confused by that scene. Yes, I still think it was kind of rapey, but I wonder if Emery Yu is a very misunderstood character. Like, I don't know. I know that he had some kind of sinister intent for leading Elspeth away from the banquet, but I don't know what that sinister intent actually was, if it was supposed to be some kind of sexual encounter or not. And especially because then he became extra creepy after he started apparently channeling his magic in some way when she had touched the back of his hand. I wonder if, I don't know, I'm so confused by him. But it's pretty clear that Emery also has some kind of magic. And I'm wondering if he's going to be the one to bring the cards to the woods. The other thing about Emery's magic is that it seems to mimic the Prophet card a little bit. And I'll explain what the different cards do because there was finally a passage that explained what every single card does.
Okay, good.
And also it explains the risks of using each card. But just like her magic somewhat mimics the Nightmare card, not perfectly, but it does kind of mimic it, Emery's seems to mimic the Prophet card a little bit. And so I think that Emery might be a part of this whole little gang, but I think he just is a very unstable character and unpredictable because of it. I think it's maybe because he's young, and I think he's probably really powerful. I don't know how powerful the Prophet card is. I mean, it's as far as like card wise, the Nightmare, there's only 2 of them, and I don't remember how many Prophet cards there are, but being able to see the future a little bit is...
Yeah, I feel that the prince and Ravyn have a conspiracy going on. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that his brother has magic, he's at least useful for our plan. Maybe we don't kill him.
Right. I also think that maybe it's kind of a situation like Elspeth is in that they're trying to turn the blind eye to Emery a little bit and keep it all under wraps so that the king doesn't go after him. Because again, Emery is the king's nephew. I don't know how much the king actually cares about Emery.
None.
Exactly. I think that they are trying to protect Emery, and they maybe have looked at and seen what's going on, and they're like, what the king is doing to these children is wrong, and we can use these children. Like, maybe they think that the king is wanting to perpetuate the mist to keep the people of Blunder afraid and keep the power limited, you know, and all of that. So here's the little blurb about what each card does and what the consequence of using each card too much brings. Written like a fragmented tale of horror, the old Book of Alders chronicled the deck of 12 Providence cards, the magic they possessed, how to use them, and the consequences of overusing them. The Black Horse made its beholder a master of combat, which makes sense why the Destriers have them.
Mm-hmm. Is that number 13? Are we going like...
That's number 12, because there's only 12 Providence cards.
Oh, never mind.
But yeah, so that's the least powerful one, apparently.
The most numerous ones. Makes sense that the king would want to have a large amount of guards
that are excellent at combat. The Golden Egg granted great wealth. There's 11 of those. I think this goes in the order of them. The Golden Egg granted great wealth. The Prophet offered glimpses of the future. The White Eagle bestowed courage. The Maiden bequeathed great beauty. The Chalice turned liquid into truth serum. The Well gave clear sight to recognize one's enemies. The Iron Gate offered blissful serenity, no matter the struggle. The Scythe gave its beholder the power to control others. The Mirror granted invisibility. The Nightmare allowed its user to speak into the minds of others. And the Twin Alders had the power to commune with Blunder's ancient entity, the Spirit of the Wood. But just as there were 2 edges to every blade, There were two sides to every Providence card. Magic came at a cost. If used too long, the black horse could make its holder weak. The golden egg led to all-consuming greed. The white eagle's courage was replaced by fear. The prophet's foresight made its user helpless to change the future. The chalice's truth serum turned into poison. The maiden's beauty chilled its user's heart. The well's holder would be betrayed by a friend. The iron gate stole years from one's life. The scythe caused great physical pain. The mirror lifted the veil between worlds, exposing a world of ghosts. The nightmare revealed one's deepest fears. And the twin alders? No one knew what happened if you used the twin alders too long. There was no record of anyone having done so.
So there's some pretty interesting ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the order, I'm surprised at the order, honestly.
I am too. There was another point when she did explain the order, but I would have to go back and find.
So I'm like, there's a lot of invisibility ones.
I thought there were only like 3.
The mirror?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that came after the scythe, and the scythe there's only 4. But
Yeah.
still, that's 3 invisibility ones. And the fact that there's
A bunch of truth serum ones.
a bunch of the prophet,
Yeah, there's a shit ton of profit.
a lot of the golden egg too, like a lot of people being able to be granted wealth. Interesting.
The writer of this book doesn't know anything about economics. You just can't print more money.
I don't know. But I get the sense that Emery is going to become very important. And I feel like he's maybe more of... I think he might be playing a bigger part in this whole scheme.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Elspeth will play that part. I don't really know.
I think Elspeth will probably replace him. And they'll keep her around because she's less of a problem.
Maybe.
I'm just assuming all of the characters are cruel in some way.
And I love that Ravyn is cruel and he's not even hiding it. Like, he's not even hiding the fact that he wants to just use her and manipulate. He's like, your magic is useful. I want to use you.
Yeah, it's the story of Rudolph all over again. Your disability is uncared for until you're useful.
Exactly. That also makes me very nervous for their love story, though. I need them to be in love. Because what if the real enemy to lover narrative is actually like Elspeth and Elm? Because here's what I mean. Elm is taller than Ravyn, and the tall guy is always the one that you root for. But the taller, if there's multiple tall guys, the tallest one is the one that you root for. He also has a greater position of power. He's one of the princes. So there is that possibility because she also described Elm as being very handsome. And I'm like, God damn it. So not only is he taller and he's more powerful, he is also really fucking hot. So there's also the possibility, like I said, I didn't know that Ravyn would be the only romance interest because a lot of times in romantasy books, there's multiple love interests. So there's a possibility that there's a love triangle that's going to form. And I'm here for it to some extent, which also leads me into last time I talked about how the second book in this duology is called Two Twisted Crowns. And I was like, I swear to God, if Elsbeth becomes one of the crown wearers.
Might be a civil war between the crown prince and the second prince.
Oh.
But if it's... Well, you keep not saying crowned prince. You keep saying greater prince.
The high prince.
The high prince.
Yeah.
And that's different. So
the high prince is the older one.
Because usually the crowned prince is the announced successor to the throne.
Yeah. I don't know if they're just using high prince...
in lieu of crown prince.
Like just because it's a fantasy world or something. But yeah, it's interesting. So after this little interrogation that apparently took several hours, Ravyn lets Elspeth go. And he's like, I'll see you at the dinner party tonight. And she's like, okay. And she gets herself ready for that evening's feast. She ignores her half-sisters and her stepmother being awful to her and whatever. Apparently, all of the Spindles are wearing red that night, but she doesn't have a red dress. And so she wears a green dress that her uncle had gotten for her. And of course, again, her half-sisters are like, oh, I didn't know living in the woods was so lucrative. Like, that looks like a fancy dress, Elspeth. And she's like, fuck off. Like, what the fuck?
That's when she's like, well, maybe if father actually bought stuff for me, like you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm not quite sure what the symbolism here of the fact that the Spindles are wearing red and she's wearing green is. I kind of want to dig into that.
They're
a little
just
bit more.
really into Christmas.
Anyways, Elsbeth obviously stands out because of this, and she later compares herself to like an afterthought. Like she's like, they all glide in and then I'm the last one there, and like it's really weird and stuff like that. So at one point Elm finds her and kind of escorts her into the hall. And I don't know if this little display is more of like an assertion of dominance, basically to warn Elspeth not to say anything, but like, why would she? Or maybe it's just to kind of taunt her a little bit. But then Rowan, the High Prince, comes by, and suddenly Elm doesn't seem so bad. Like, Elm seems like a mean guy. And then Hoth comes by, and you're like, oh shit, that guy is a mean guy. So Hoth is the elder brother. He's meaner than any of the other characters we've met so far. And he's the one that Elspeth's uncle is trying to introduce Ione to.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, Elspeth separates herself from the princes, and she once again runs into Alex, the boy that she had kissed at the equinox 3 years ago. And Alex is all like, hey, Elspeth, will you sit with me at my table? I asked your father for permission, and my mother really wants to get to know you. And Elspeth is like, oh, well, I already promised the U's that I would sit with them tonight. And of course, just then, right on cue, Ravyn steps up and he offers her his arm and is kind of like smug about the whole situation because he likes her and it's great. And Alex is like, but I got your father's permission. And she's like, yeah, but you didn't get my permission. And I'm like, girl, oh my God, sick burn.
He retorts, but we have 4 egg carts.
Good point.
And she goes, oh, damn, really?
I actually just want to read you this little scene because there's a lot of nuances in it and I feel like I'm missing something. So I don't want to miss anything. We stepped into the corridor and made our way to the great hall. I cast my gaze about for Ione and her pink light, but saw a few cards. Color emanating from the 3 sentinel destriers, a golden egg, a chalice, and a scythe filled the room, but no maiden cards. When the orator announced the name Spindle, my father and Miriam stepped forward first, followed by my half-sisters, then lastly me. The crowd turned to watch us. Heat rose in my cheeks, and I clenched my fingers into fists along my dress, determined not to feel like the afterthought they painted me. Prince Elm Rowan stood at the front of the grand stairwell, the red glow from his scythe lighting our way. The prince's smile did not touch his eyes. Eric, he said, extending a hand. I'm sorry I missed you at the hunt. Welcome to Equinox. Highness. My father bowed deeply. Thank you for having us. Always a pleasure to see you and your daughters. Demia giggled and Naya elbowed her, their swan-like necks bent low. Elm blinked at them, his freckled nose wrinkling as if he'd smelled something foul. The ugly stepsisters, of course, there's something foul smelling. Anyways.
Their goose-like necks.
Swan-like necks, excuse you.
My bad.
His eyes shifted over them to me. This must be your first wife's daughter. My father looked back, as if only just remembering me. Elspeth has not come to Equinox in years, he said, bidding me forward. Elspeth, you remember Prince Renelm? I bowed. When Elm extended his hand in greeting, our fingers met, cold and unfeeling. Also, they're touching hands. They might fall in love, Ian.
Yeah, but these ones were cold and unfeeling.
Versus gentle but rough.
Gentle but rough.
Good point, good point. Welcome back to Stone, Miss Spindle, he said, his green eyes cunning. May I escort you to dinner? The Rowans are not to be trusted. They cling too desperately to their scythes, hungry for power, for control, the nightmare called in the din. Be wary. I tensed, my eyes lowering to the red card in Elm's pocket, but I took his arm anyway, the fabric along our sleeves sliding together. He was only 2 years older than me, the same age as Ione. His green eyes stood out against his olive skin, and when his hair caught the light, thick and unkempt, it was the same color as the equinox wreaths that hung above the arches of the great hall, bright with autumn hues. He was undeniably handsome.
Oh
no. I think that's the same phrase she used for Ravyn.
Undeniably handsome. And her father, her father's probably like, oh, damn, I haven't been doting on this daughter.
Yeah.
If she becomes a princess, things are going to be awkward.
Awkward. He was undeniably handsome, but the red light from his scythe cast strange shadows across his features. I looked away, unnerved. We glided through the room with my father's second family behind us, the ocean of folk parting. Candles and torches had been lit, and the great hall was aglow, illuminating the fine fabrics of Blunder's houses, namesake trees embroidered on the breasts of dresses and tunics alike. I looked for Ione and the hawthorns, but did not see them. The crowd was as thick as mist. A servant trotted by with a silver tray of brimming goblets. Elm took 2 and handed me one brusquely, spilling some wine on the floor near our feet. I took it with both hands, happy to no longer be touching him. Elm drank deeply from the goblet, his green eyes tracing the room. You must be very special, he said out of the corner of his mouth, waving and nodding as members of his father's court passed us. It's not often Ravyn lets anyone into his confidence. Confidence? You were alone together for hours. A terse smile slithered across his mouth. What's more, he's insisting you, or your magic, are somehow useful. I stared at the king's second son, tightness creeping into my stomach. How easily he wore the mask of cordiality, of charm, but I could hear disapproval, doubt in his voice. I smelled it on him like smoke. I took a step back, distrusting the prince as readily as he did me. But before I could walk away, a man, tall and handsome and broad, approached us, the crowd's eyes following him. Brother! High Prince Hoth Rowan said in greeting, his gaze shifting from Elm to me. Who is this lovely creature? If my thoughts on Prince Elm were bleak, my opinion of Hoth was abysmal. The High Prince was a brute. Bathed in the red light of his scythe card, Hoth had no qualms forcing others to do his bidding, especially those who flouted Blunder's laws. I'd heard he was fond of executing criminals with his scythe, forcing them to do horrible things against their will. The High Prince would often call a great crowd at the edge of town. Then, with 3 taps of his scythe card, he sent the accused, without a charm, to die in the mist, lost to the salt and the ravenous hunger of the spirit of the wood. It made my skin crawl just to stand next to him. Hoth gazed down at me. He was wider than his brother, his muscles prominent beneath his gold tunic. His skin was olive and his eyes the same rowan green, but where Elm's gaze was narrow and cunning, Hoth's stare was bold, aggressive. You're Eric's eldest daughter. Pleased to meet you, sire, I said, lowering my head. We haven't met before? Elm exhaled through his teeth. Hence the introduction, brother. Hoth reached forward, taking a hand and kissing it. Better late than never. Elm made a gagging sound. That's enough of that, he said, steering me away from his brother before the High Prince could get another word in. I felt Hoth's eyes on my back, but did not turn to face him, my skin crawling from his touch. I need another drink, Elm muttered, leaving me to stand alone without a second glance. Don't go too far, Spindle.
I see why he's the first prince.
Hoth?
Mm-hmm. Because he's straightforward, brash.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as they tried to paint him doing those things in a negative light, at the end of the day, he's a prince punishing criminals.
Yeah.
He's doing it in a very, very cruel manner.
But he's doing what he believes is his job.
Yeah. He may be finding enjoyment from it, but the people that he serves see him as punishing criminals.
Yeah.
And then it was describing him as bold, and the second one as like snake-like and conniving. So I foresee a civil war.
Ooh, I like that. I hope so. I mean, like, I don't hope so, but like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be very interesting. I agree with your assessment so far. I'm going to skip over this part, but basically she runs into her aunt, and her aunt is basically like, apparently Tyrn gave the king the nightmare card, and now Ione is supposed to be doing something and whatever. And all of this was without my consent or without even consulting me about it and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know if I agree with my original assessment about how like Elspeth and her mother and her aunt kind of represent more of like an indigenous or druidic culture. They still kind of do in my head, but I don't know how much of it is still that like, I feel like I maybe misunderstood the relationship that Tyrn and Opal had, because they were like described as not being a good match and described as not being like really in love, it seems. But the fact that she seemed like she felt like she was supposed to have known about some of this stuff makes it a little bit more interesting. But that also, I'm like, I didn't think that they had the relationship where Tyrn would tell her these kinds of things. So the fact that she seems surprised by this is odd to me. And I don't know if that like falls into what I had originally thought. So I have to go back and do some thinking and rereading. But anyways, a bell chimed at the head of the table and the room began to fill. I stayed where I was, my arms crossed over my chest. My dress hugged me tightly, and for a moment I held perfectly still, lulled by the soft material, lost in thought. Someone tapped my shoulder. You look beautiful, Elspeth.
Oh, he likes her.
I groaned, recognizing the voice.
Oh, no, come on. You liked him enough to kiss him.
Alex
likes you. Why are you doing this to my boy? He's just doing what he thinks society wants him to do.
Exactly.
He's like, I'm doing everything right. Why don't you like me back? I thought you liked me because we were, like, doing fun stuff. I've decided I like this character.
I've decided I'm worried he's going to be like the betraying kind. Like he's going to be something that...
No, he's going to
betrays
be
her.
getting betrayed the whole time.
He might be getting betrayed, but I also feel like...
By her.
I feel like he's going to betray her in some way, though. I don't know. We'll see. I groaned, recognizing the voice. Alex. When I turned, he was standing there in another bright yellow tunic, smile wide, eyes expectant. I've just asked your father if you might sit with me and my parents, he said. He gave his consent. He paused. So long as you're agreeable, that is.
See? See, he's like, I asked your dad. He said, yeah, do you want to?
I know no one's going to ask me what I want, the nightmare said, snide to his bones. But just in case you were wondering, the answer is no. No, I am decidedly not agreeable. I love the sass of the nightmare. I know nobody's going to ask me what I want, but I don't want to sit with this boy. Thank you very much.
That's because the boy is happy.
A surprise to no one, I muttered. Look, Alex, my mother is anxious to meet you. I've told her so much about you.
You see?
I didn't hear the rest. My gaze shifted over Alex's shoulder, catching someone in the crowd. Ravyn Yu stood a few paces away, talking to two other destriers, his hands clasped behind his back. He had changed his tunic since I'd last seen him, like all of 30 minutes ago. Who the fuck knows? Like, it sounds like they were with each other all day and she barely had time to get ready. So anyways, he had changed his tunic since the last time I'd seen him. The belt of knives around his waist was gone, replaced by the gilded hilt of a long ceremonial blade. His tunic was dark blue with gold trim, and though I searched for the burgundy color of the nightmare card, no light emanated from his pockets. He was cardless. We'd only been apart an hour. Still, I couldn't help but feel every time I saw Ravyn Yu, I was looking at a different man. Hot. Anyways, sorry.
He's just playing the political game. He's just part of the Second Prince's faction.
Drawn by my gaze, Ravyn turned his head. His eyes captured mine, falling a moment to my dress before shifting to Alex. Hot. I'm sorry, like looking you up and down.
She's like, I know you're talking to me. Oh my God, that hot guy over there.
And then that guy like looked at me and thinks I'm hot. Golden. And then he looks at Alex and is like, ew. Drawn by my gaze, Ravyn turned his head. His eyes captured mine, falling a moment to my dress before shifting to Alex. For the briefest of moments, I thought I saw the corner of his lips curl. Alex was still talking when Ravyn approached. Oh, excuse me, Captain Yu, he said, bowing his head. I didn't see you. Ravyn returned his bow. Enjoying Equinox, Laburnum? Very much so. I was just inviting Miss Spindle to join my family and me for the feast. Ravyn's eyes returned to me. There it was again, that nigh invisible smirk. And how are you enjoying the Equinox, Miss Spindle? He asked me.
And she goes, you know what? It's been awful. First, the encounter with your brother.
Then you.
Then I got cut in the garden.
And then you fucking chased me and tackled me and used a nightmare card on me. Then you interrogated me and outed me to a physician, another destrier, and one of the princes. And now I'm fucking here talking to my ex that I don't really want to be talking to
Talking
right now.
to the guy I made out with briefly one time. And I got in trouble for making out with, but I don't know why I'm so mean to him. As far as I can tell, he's done nothing wrong other than saying, I like you and I want to pursue this.
As best I can, I said, my voice thinner than I liked.
Then, oh yeah. And then dumped in the middle of the hall by the prince saying, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I've been standing here.
Mm-hmm. And how are you enjoying the Equinox, Miss Spindle? He asked me. As best I can, I said, my voice thinner than I liked. Then for spite, though there are a few too many destriers here for my liking. Ravyn cocked a brow. Do you have something against destriers, Miss Spindle? Not all of them. I searched his face. When I noted the bruise along his cheekbone where I'd kicked him earlier, a small smile of my own slid across my mouth. But most... I love that. Alex's eyes darted between us. Yes, well, we should take our seats, Elspeth. My parents... I put a hand on Alex's arm. You've been very sweet, Alex. But I told the Yus I'd sit with them this evening. Isn't that right, Captain? Alex stalled. Mid-step. Ravyn ran a hand over his jaw, hiding his expression. Indeed. Alex pressed his hand over mine, trapping it against his arm. I have your father's permission, Elspeth. But not mine, I said, more forceful this time. Now, if you please. Alex made like he was going to protest, his mouth open, brow knit, but an icy look from Ravyn was enough to smother whatever ire burned within him. He let go of my hand, shot me a look somewhere between anger and hurt, and hurried off into the crowd. Ravyn watched him go, crossing his arms over his chest. Not the winning moment he'd hoped for. Poor Laburnum. Don't, I said, rubbing my hand, guilt tugging at me.
Yes.
Alex is too nice for his own good.
That's right. You should feel guilty. You embarrassed him on Equinox, nonetheless.
Alex is too nice for his own good. He's gotten worse for me than he deserves. It's the nice ones you should look out for, Ravyn said. I glanced up at him. What about you, Captain? Are you too nice for your own good? He watched me, something I could not read flashing in his gray eyes. No, Miss Spindle, he said. I'm not nice at all.
'Cause I eat 3 dozen eggs, and I'm the size of a barge.
It's 4.
'Cause I eat 4 dozen eggs, and
that was
I'm
when
the
he was
size of the
young.
barge. Now, when he was young, he ate 2 dozen eggs.
No,
And now that I'm grown,
it was
eat
when
4.
he was young, he ate 4 dozen eggs, and now that he's grown, he eats 5 dozen eggs.
Well, fuck you. I was trying to be nice. You know what?
And he's roughly the size of a barge.
That's so big. Sorry.
No, Miss Spindle, he said. I'm not nice at all. The bell rang again, more eager in its chime. The crowd moved to the candlelit tables at the center of the room, hasty to claim their seats. I lingered, uncertain of my place. My family is over here, Ravyn said, gesturing to the table, if you were earnest about sitting with me.
I was like, you better actually sit there, because if you don't, they're going to notice.
I glanced at him, my voice colder than I'd intended. I suppose I don't have much choice in the matter. He shrugged. You could sit with Jesper. She's easier to talk to. Or, if you prefer, Elm is right over there. I'd rather take my chances with Emery again, I bit back. Or is he indisposed? A flinch crossed Ravyn's sharp face. A moment later it was gone, replaced by familiar, cool austerity. My brother won't be in attendance this evening. He held his arm out to me. Shall we? Interesting that Emery's not going to be there.
Yeah, because he caused trouble last time. They're like, you're staying in your room, buddy.
He led me silently to our seats, planting us near the head of the table where we stood with everyone else, waiting for King Rowan to arrive. My hand grew warm against the sleeve of Ravyn's tunic, and I tensed, unsure when to let go. She doesn't want to let go because she's like, I like holding your arm. I like holding you. I like being near you. I'm not going to admit it to myself, but I'm in love with you.
She's like, this is the first time I've been putting on political airs and actually cared about what other people are perceiving. And so I don't actually know the protocol. When do I let go?
Destriers lined the wall ahead of us, shadowed by their black horses. So many destriers, I grumbled. That's the way things are in my uncle's home, I'm afraid. Your home too, isn't it? Duty requires I remain here with the king, he said, his expression unwavering. But it is not my home. The bell chimed a third time. We turned to face the head of the table. The shuffling of dresses and conversations quieted as the orator stood to give his announcements. Presenting His Royal Highness, King Quercus Rowan. I don't know how the fuck you say his name. It's like Quercus. Quercus.
Cautious.
Presenting His Royal Highness, King Quercus Rowan, ruler of Blunder, keeper of laws, and protector of the Providence cards. We bowed as he entered. He was not a charming or delicate ruler. Formidable, ruthless. His second royalty, the orator continued, Hoth Rowan, High Prince, heir to Blunder, destrier, and keeper of laws. We bowed a second time. Though more handsome than his father, Hoth was still unmistakably a Rowan. Broad, strong, and brutal. Red and black lights emanated from the breast pocket of his silver tunic.
Oh, wait, no. Red. The nightmare's burgundy.
I know, that's like...
There's too many reds. I'm like, okay, so burgundy red, and pink. I thought there was another red.
I moved to take my seat, but Ravyn shook his head, bidding me to wait. We've come together this equinox to recognize our great kingdom, the High Prince called. It has not been an easy harvest. The spirit of the wood's stranglehold on Blunder continues. Still, let us celebrate the triumphs we've achieved in family, in health, and, most importantly, in the trade and use of Providence cards. The great hall echoed with applause. Many of you have shared your wealth with my family, Hoth continued. I thank you. But greater than wealth, there is duty. As High Prince of Blunder, it is my duty to share in my father's legacy, to follow his path, and the path laid out for all of us in the old Book of Alders. The nightmare let out a hiss. Hoth cast a brief glance at his father, and the king nodded. Like kings before him, It has been my father's mission to collect all 12 Providence cards, Hoth said, his voice louder. With them, we will lift the mist and banish the spirit of the wood, ridding Blunder of magical infection. He paused. I am pleased to tell you that tonight we are closer to achieving that goal. Hoth turned to the side, gesturing forward someone I could not see. 2 lights warred for dominance. One burgundy, the other pink, carried by a strikingly beautiful woman with yellow hair. My heart plummeted into my stomach as Hoth's voice rattled over the din. Tonight, he declared, thanks to this generous contribution, my father has knighted Tyrn Hawthorne. We are proud to offer his daughter a place in our royal family. Applause erupted around me. Glass clinking and cheers sounding, the clamor enormous. Next to me, Ravyn Yu exhaled, as if all the wind in his lungs had frozen. Across the table, Elm Rowan and Jesper Yu had gone ghostly pale, their faces arrested in shock. Hoth took the hand of the beautiful woman. She passed him the burgundy light, a smile on her full lips. Hoth, goaded by the crowd's uproar, held up the Providence card, trimmed by dark burgundy velvet. I present to you, he called, the elusive Nightmare Providence card, and my future wife, Ione Hawthorne.
Yeah! And the crowd went wild.
Yes, indeed they did.
I think that... Was this saying that she used the maiden card because she's more beautiful now, or...
I'm wondering if she's used it.
Or not. Because I think the fact that it makes your heart icy, she did it on purpose. Unless she didn't know that's what it does.
According to like all the flashbacks and stuff, Ione and Elspeth were like obsessed with the old Book of Alders when they were growing up, and they would ask their mothers basically to read to them from it all the time, which tells me that both she and Ione are very well aware of every card and everything that it does and all of the consequences of it.
Yeah, I think she used it on purpose because she knows she can't survive in that place without it.
Oh, that's such an interesting take. I like that. I also see in this last bit where like they're saying that the king's goal is to get all of the Providence cards together and stuff like that, which I'm like, is it though? Is it really? Because like then what's the point of the second prince and Ravyn and all of them trying to get all like what? I don't know if I believe that the king is actually trying to get all of them together.
Well, maybe not, but at the same time, that's the stated purpose of their household, so they have to kind of do something along those lines. Or maybe there's another reason they're gathering them all.
Yeah, maybe. I also think it's interesting too because like clearly Elm, Jesper, and Ravyn are upset and shocked by this news. That the Hawthorns had a nightmare card, basically. I think they knew Tyrn had a card, but I guess they might not have known which one it was. And the fact that it's been then traded to the king, which now seems like the enemy. And then the rest of them are like, oh, fuck. Even though they have the other one. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's going to be like, are we going to have to keep score of how many cards does each group have? Like, we know that this little ragtag team has 8 cards for sure. We don't know how many the king has.
Yeah, or... they are now worried that their enemy can know. I guess it's only the stated purpose of the Nightmare card was to speak into people's minds, not that you can read their minds.
Right, but there was the point when Ravyn had spoken into Elspeth's mind, and she had asked him, what did you hear? And he said, I just heard the clicking noise. I didn't know what that was. And then the Nightmare laughed about it because he's like, he didn't know that I was here and whatever, but it was just the Nightmare clicking his claws. So I am very fascinated. I want to know more about Emery Yu and what the fuck is all up with him.
Yeah, all I know is that the Hawthorns played the game so well.
Yes, they did.
Were on the outs. They were on their last chance. They couldn't pay, and then all of a sudden, they're knights.
Tyrn is knighted. She is now betrothed, not just acquainted with, but like actually like set to marry Hoth.
She is now the crowned princess.
The weird part is, though, that Tyrn didn't include Opal on any of this. So like Opal, his wife, is now also kind of on the outs with all of this. So I'm very curious where her loyalties are going to lie, if she's going to stick more with Elsbeth. And I'm curious about where the Spindles fall into it. And I'm also curious because we've learned now that Elsbeth's father is the captain of was the captain of the Destriers and no longer is. And now Ravyn's the captain of the Destriers. And I'm curious if there's like some kind of like political game there of like why he stepped down from the role, if he stepped down or if he was outed from the role. Like
We don't know how the Destriers operate.
So I'm curious. I'm very curious to learn more about a lot of these characters. And I'm nervous, though, as much as I love love and I love enemies to lovers, I'm nervous that we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on this love story with all this other stuff happening in the background. And I'm like, I want the background stuff. If the love story takes a front seat right now, I'm going to be kind of pissed. I want it to take a back seat until book 2.
No, I think it's going to. There's just still so much going on that we don't know about yet. And there's going to be longer parts of them being flirty without actually acknowledging that they're being flirty.
Oh my God, a slow burn. Please give me a slow burn. My favorite slow burn, I know this is like totally changing gears and stuff like that, but I have to say my absolute favorite slow burn that I've ever read in my whole life was from The Mirror Visitor, because they didn't even kiss until book 2, like almost at the end of book 2 in the Mirror Visitor series. And then she slapped him because she's like, why the fuck are you kissing me right now? God, I love that series.
Like, but we're husband and wife.
They weren't married yet. They didn't get married till the end of that book. And then right afterwards, he disappeared. That's a very good series. I like that series a lot. Mirror Visitor by Christiel Dabos. But anyways, this isn't.
That's besides the point.
But yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's a good spot.
Did we learn anything today?
I learned that you can interrogate someone for multiple hours and test them, but never actually ask the question you wanted to, which is about finding out which cards the uncle had.
That is true. I feel like that's where they wanted that interrogation to go, and then he just didn't because he got scared.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm scared of you, Elspeth. I think you're really hot, and I shouldn't think you're hot. Because
she could have answered that shit for sure. Like, she knew everything that was about to happen on that stage, pretty much.
Yeah. So there's that. I learned that the more runs you do, the easier the runs become. Because I am 12. So where can people find us?
People can find us on Facebook.
At A Pot of Sass and Sarcasm.
They can follow us on Instagram.
At A Pot of Sass.
They can check us out on Storygraph.
At Aposass.
They can become a patron.
At patreon.com/A Pot of Sass and Sarcasm.
They can send us an email.
At apotofsass@gmail.com.
Or you can visit our website.
At aposass.com. You can also listen to new episodes most Saturdays, wherever you find podcasts.
Please rate, review, and share.
Thank you so much for listening.
We hope you keep listening.
And we hope you stay sassy.
Later.